Hey, everybody. Don Martelli back at it with another episode of the PR Broker Podcast. Speaking today with a gentleman that's with the Inspired Culture, yourpathinspired.com. These folks, it's an incredible story. As you all know, as a business owner and folks that have managed people over the years, your people are really one of the biggest assets your company will ever have. And as you are, working with people every single day, helping them through the challenges that they're going through in their position, in their lives, it gets really difficult. But if you have really good people and they're dedicated to the mission, the brand, the work, your company will exponentially grow. And speaking with Eric about this process and the things that they've uncovered and helped other businesses with, your most valuable asset is your people. And culture is a thing that you cannot just create overnight. And it takes some time to nurture and to get into a place where it is something that is valued and revered within the company. So Eric and his team at the Inspired Culture are folks that help organizations unlock this challenge that they may have around culture. So if interested, check them out. But in the meantime, here's another episode of the PR Bunker Podcast. What's up, folks? Welcome back to the PR Bunker. Excited for this session today with my buddy Eric Himes, who is going to inspire you. He inspired me, which is why he's here. The works that he does for the companies he works for inspires folks to basically invest in their employees. And it's a really interesting story. I felt it was kind of interesting to have him on here because it's a little non-profit-y, but it's also very corporate focused and culture focused. Eric, it's a pleasure to have you here down in the PR Bunker. And I apologize for my raspy jazz singer voice, but I'm getting over a cold, but I don't have time to be sick.
Well, Don, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you today, and I'm excited to have an incredible conversation with you.
Absolutely. So I said this before we started. I think everybody's journey has an interesting plot twist or two. You didn't wake up one day and say, this is what I want to do for work. And here you are. How'd you get here? So first and foremost, before we get into it, a little background about you and about the company, and then kind of tell us how you got here.
Yeah, no, definitely. So a little bit of background about myself. I have an amazing wife, 5 wonderful kids, and we just have this incredible family together, and so grateful for that. It's one of the things that gets me going every day. I'm inspired by them and also challenged in the same capacity with my 4 teenage daughters, especially. So, but it's a lot of fun. And so a little bit about us is that I'm a highly determined individual. I like to be challenged constantly. So running the London Marathon here in a couple of weeks. And so that will be great. That'll be marathon number 8 for me. And we committed to run all of the major world marathons. And so we've got a few more to go, but we're committed to that from that side of it.
So have you run Boston?
Not yet. We're getting there. That's
All
on
right.
our way. We're on our
Nice.
journey to Boston. We have run Berlin, New York, Chicago, in Chicago multiple times. So London will be our trip this year. And
Got
then hopefully Tokyo next year.
Nice. Well, 2 things. I'm sure you've researched and heard about Heartbreak Hill, which is a pretty tough stretch of the run. Not that I've ever done it, but I've read about it and seen it for years. And then 2, when you turn on the Comm Ave for that final stretch, that wall-to-wall group of people as you run down to the finish line is even from the sidelines, being somebody who's watched it, is quite the incredible experience.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it's going to be like as you're running down, thousands of people screaming at you. I don't care if you're finishing within 2 hours or 6 hours, they're still there screaming for you all. So good luck to all that. But tell me about the company. What's the name of the company? What do you guys do?
Yeah, the name of the company is the Inspired Culture Strategic Advising and Coaching. And so what we do is, and what we developed from the ground up is a framework, an operational system, so call it, for companies to grow in their level of inspiration. And we measure that. And if you're listening in, you're like, well, yeah, we all have inspiration. Yeah, well, that's the terminology we use to actually understand and assess where your culture's at internally. And everybody's on this inspired journey of growing and developing. And so, one, we want to identify where you're at and how can we help you get to what we call the inspired culture, being that gold standard of culture today.
And so as, when companies get engaged with you all, I'm sure there's a bit of a perception from their side that what this could be. But what does that journey like them look like at the end? So I don't know if it's a 2 week project, month project, 6 months. I'm not sure how long it goes, but from start to finish, what are the results and what are the sort of the tangible things that you've seen in your work with those clients?
Yeah. So, and that's like the most fulfilling aspect of what we do is the results that we see because we incredibly change their lives, right? We change the organizational, not change from who they are and their DNA today, but we help grow that and foster that and empower their people in such a different way. So for us, we measure the growth mindset. It's the one metric that isn't in a financial, report, so call it, right? Or a KPI or any of that, but we believe nothing happens without our people. But we also don't know where our people are really at because annual reviews aren't enough to check in and give feedback or even quarterly reviews because growth happens every day. Um, and we hope, and everybody hopes that people are growing, but they actually don't have a way to monetize. Are we growing or to validate we have grown? And so through the systems that we use in the inspired culture framework, the tools, how we do our methodology and all those things to teach and coach holistic leadership, in that we also measure the growth mindset. So now we get visibility of where we're going, we get an alignment, we get our purpose, and our teams become intrinsically motivated. Those intrinsic teams create incredible impact for organizations. And I know that maybe people listening in, oh, our people are intrinsically motivated. And maybe some of them are. But what I can tell you is if we're not intentional to get them to where we need them to be for them, they're not going to win at home, personally or professionally, and the organization isn't going to win either. So the system we designed helps individuals win on all fronts. And so now we're intentionally as leaders and organizations investing in our people. Why? Because if their home life isn't great, they're never going to bring their best to work. And so we're missing out on investing in making sure that they're going home ready to go home, leaving work behind so that when they come the next day, they're ready and charged up to be here and present at work. And so it's this change and pivot of not what you can do for me as a leader, but how can I invest into you for your growth and development?
Sure, that's great. Sounds incredible. Sounds like sure every assignment you all do, you learn a few things, right? And sort of adapting and applying. Get into the weeds a little bit. Like what's are they working sessions, one-on-one sessions? Like give us a couple sort of tactical examples of what this looks like.
Yeah, so we start every organization out with our assessment, right? We need to get a pulse, and then after we get that pulse, we do some leadership interviews because we need to understand. Okay, this organization they're engaged. We're doing this together, so we interview every leader that's in the program for an hour to get to know them. After we do that, we go through a vulnerability assessment along with a personality profile. The vulnerability assessment we use is to help us see more about what's going on and some of the diagnostics that are happening in the background of the leadership. From there, we do workshops. So we'll do the Inspired Culture workshop. And then after we go through the workshop side of things, we get into one on one coaching and development. And we then bring forward our operating system, the Inspired OS, for people to operate in where they have their vision organizationally, their OKRs, their objectives and key results, the habits that they want to develop and how they want to win. And through all of those metrics, we drive out the growth mindset score for not only the individual, but the team and the organization. And we could do that by physical address. So, say there's more people in a building and they have multiple people they report up to, but we can tell you now where the mindset is at of that group of individuals, which from a leadership standpoint, I'd want to know because now I know how to invest my time intentionally
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
can address what's needed and where it's needed.
Exactly. What now? What kind of organization, size wise, revenue wise, industry wise, is sort of prime for this sort of work?
Yeah. So this sort of work is for actually any organization. We have the capacity to serve those with 150,000 employees or three. So we have the capacity to do it which way the operating system, our tools, our platform serves the masses or the organizations that are growing to become the masses. So anywhere, anyhow,
Got it.
very
Got it.
simple.
And it's clearly it can be a global business, right? Because you can do this for any company anywhere around the world, which is fantastic. So let me ask you this from a, I guess, a business slash personal perspective. I mean, what fuels you to do this? I mean, because it sounds like you're one intelligent guy, creative guy, entrepreneur. You can do a million things, right? In terms of what you studied, your background from an educational standpoint, you know, why this role? Why this job? Why this work? What fuels that passion in you?
Yeah, my belief is that we have learned from leaders for a really long time, and our learnings, they're not bad. But what's happened is this baton has been handed off, and leadership's been caught and not intentionally learned. And so what we're doing is we're all chasing, many of us chase financial performance outcomes because we can measure those. But there's a cost to the individual that's, there, all of us, right? Leadership, and I believe everybody's a leader in an organization, but there's a cost to all of us working 60, 70 hours to making it happen for the business while we're losing everything else that's more important at home, being our family, our kids, those relationships that are invaluable because we're not intentionally investing into them. Why? Because we can see our growth trajectory at work, but we can't see our growth trajectory at home necessarily because that's our house. This is what we have. But there's also work required to have an incredible marriage. There's also work required to be an incredible dad or an incredible mom with our kids, right? We just don't have them. And then there's this transaction. So the purpose and passion for me is my story, right? I climbed the corporate ladder. I gave everything I had at the cost and expense of all those things. And I said, there's got to be a different way, right? And so God put it on my heart to say, hey, we need you to do this. This is the work I have for you. You need to bring a model into corporate America to help corporate America see some things that they're not seeing today. And also to show them they can still accomplish all of their goals they want to, but care for people differently in the process.
That's
And
great.
so we're bringing that alignment to say you can get all these things, you can have hyper growth. And by the way that we engage with your teams and help them grow intrinsically, you're going to actually get a higher performance marker today than you would not using us.
Wow.
And that's a proven path forward.
Yeah, I love that. And clearly, a lot of this stuff can be kind of squishy, and it's not like I'm going to make this widget. Here's a widget, And as you are having conversations with clients, I'm sure they're asking about return on investment, which you just touched upon. I love to talk about ROI through like actual stories and anecdotes. So I'm sure you've got a million examples, but any examples you want to share that says like I remember working with company X and Don Martelli here, whatever examples you have, I'd love to hear kind of one of those anecdotal stories, which would be kind of put a nice little bow on that little part of the story.
You bet. Yeah. So we have a client. They've been with us now for, we're going on year three.
Oh wow,
And so they haven't left. And that's the funny thing. These organizations get engaged with us. They see the performance of it, and they're like, you know what? We're in. We're going to stay in. And so we're actually our white paper's almost done on them. We reduced their turnover by 46%.
wow,
We had put millions to the bottom line for that. The productivity value has gone up from a 1 to 2.25, 125% increase in productivity, same amount of hours worked. And their ability to accomplish goals and accomplish strategic items, right? Not the whirlwind of the business, but working on the business, moving the business forward. They have made an incredible impact. As an organization, they've accomplished over 800 goals. 800.
holy
They
smokes, that's
yeah,
incredible.
and they accomplished on time all of their objectives and key results. Those are the strategic things to build the business. They've done that as well. They've grown their teams. They have 19 new positions to hire for that they didn't have before, and they received some really incredible awards that they didn't get before. And so the industry is recognizing them. They went to the number one customer service group because we focused on that intentionally, and they had a culture of accountability and a culture of retention. And so those were the two key strategic items that we had built together in our vision casting sessions with them. And then we went to work, and our systems helped them get those outcomes.
Wow, that's fantastic. Times change, right? From the time you started the business to 2026 and the environment we're in globally, locally, economically, politically. Now, people's opinions change. Boomers are getting older. My generation's taking over. Like time is moving things forward upstream. How does that change the business at all? Is the same mentality regardless of when it is 10 years ago today? But how are you adapting with AI and all these tools and just speed of information to manage what you guys are doing for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, AI is a great helpful tool, right? I mean, we have a bot on our website. You come visit us, and Michael's the bot. That's my son's name. He's there hanging out. He loves to chat it up at home, and so we put him as our chat bot, right? But we're walking with the technology that's available because there's things that we can use it for. They're not the expertise, but they support our business and they can help us grow and navigate in that. So we're not afraid of AI. We embrace it. It's definitely helped us advance a number of different things quickly. So we're grateful for that. And I think timing's everything sometimes because AI hit right around the time we started our business. And so we had to make a decision as a leader, do we or don't we? And what's the risk of doing so, right? And so we started dabbling in it to understand it, to then say, okay, if we're going to set up our organization knowing that this tech is out there and it's going to be here for a while, we probably need to get on board with it. So we chose to, right? We chose to integrate it into some of the things that we do, from that vantage point to help the workflow, but it doesn't take away the expertise.
Sure, sure. I always say that today is the worst day AI will ever be, because every day after this will just continue to get better and better and better and better. But it's just nuts where these things can go. What do you love about the work?
What I love is the transformation of people's lives. Our goal, we have a mission, and our mission is to touch a billion people, 1 billion. And I've committed the rest of my life to this work. And so I'm here until 95 years of age. That's the commit working in the business
Nice,
because I love it so much, but we want to make an impact and we want to make an impact that's lasting, not only for organizations, but people in their homes. Right. And so we're really excited about that. We will be releasing our first book in August on the inspired culture framework. So people can read about it, understand the tools, the equations, the formulas that we do, giving you the playbook to execute. So be it on it. So that will be coming out. But we want to get all these tools in place to really impact people to say, hey, just because it was doesn't need to be now what it will be. We have the decision and the ability to make the change and really be inspired to do that. And I want to go back to one of the questions that you'd asked earlier, Don. Does it change from generation to generation? So the key components that we use in our formula and our model are everlasting. And so they're the things that we need as humans internally, and it's the same things that we need all day. And so those components are what makes up the basis of who we are and how we want to invest in that. And a lot of that's, in and around relational growth and development, intentional focus, growing, right? Growing into who we're to become, right? That journey never ends. And so, but we could either be accidental or intentional, right? Or we can allow the world to take from us, or we're going to choose the path
sure.
to go on in that. So those are some of the ingredients behind the scenes of what helps us move people.
That's great. Love the goals, love the passion, love the focus, and I'm sure it's also personally fulfilling at the same time. Clearly, you've grown and scaled a successful business, and human relationships are going to continue to be complex, more so just with information and everything else. What's next for the company? Where are you headed?
Yeah, so our operating system, we have 50 more revisions to make. So 50 versions. So we're just getting started
That's a lot.
and what we're doing. I know, but we've already mapped the whole thing out because we understand what the operating system needs to do. And today, in and of itself, it manages and measures the growth mindset and it supports the vision of the organization getting to where they need to go. Those are the two, and so nobody's ever put that together before. Nobody's ever measured the growth mindset. We're the first to do it and the only one to do it today in that. And so that's really unique. So where we're going is every day we're learning, right? So we're learning from our clients, the engagements that we have, the volume of data coming in to our systems is like, now we can see different trends, different things. Okay, we need to use this. We need to help bring visibility to that. This would be important in these organizations. So all of these types of things. The other thing that our system does today is we eliminated annual reviews. We touched on that briefly, but growth happens every day, every week, not once a quarter or annually. So we've changed the system and and the process to create quick vulnerability wins for leaders and their teams and organizations. So we're going to come and we're going to talk about our scorecard weekly for 20 minutes. Leaders are like, we don't have time for that. And I said, you cannot not have time for that, because as leaders, your number one responsibility is to be a multiplier. And so you have to multiply your effort through your people, not through the hours. So giving those hours away is going to give you that 2.25% volume, right? 100 to a 225% increase in work volume from the inspired nature of the individual. So bringing that in full circle, I just want to make sure that we touched on that
Yeah,
briefly
great.
on that side of it.
No, that's great. I think as somebody who has led agencies, had staff members over the years, I've always felt that, having the title and the position doesn't mean you sit on top of these people. I mean, for me, I'm more of a collaborator, flat kind of structure guy. And it's through mentoring, collaboration, support, letting them learn through the goods, the bads, the uglies. So when you get to those reviews, you've already had several conversations. So it's just really kind of a check down and less about what we did, because we've already covered that. We're covering that every single day in real time at some point. So when we get to those kind of crescendo conversations, it's like, hey, you've kicked ass this year. Here's 20 grand on top of what you're already making, a little bit of a bonus. And oh, by the way, new title, new team, go get them. And then we'll talk the next day. And I think having an agile process, because of just the speed of business these days, is just so damn fast. And you got to be on top and connected, and like just emotionally and from a workflow perspective, connected to your staff, your team, your partners, your clients. I mean, I'm sure you treat your clients like their partners or like your colleagues, and that's exactly what I do. And that's how I approach my work with Alignable. It's why we end up getting met, because we met through Alignable. But it's that human to human connection and helping people get through that journey. Because if I knew the things I know now when I was 22, 23 years old, I'd do a lot of things
Yeah,
differently.
of
But
course.
it's great to be able to share that knowledge and have a process and systems like that to kind of help companies do this better. Because you're right, the biggest expense a company will have is their people. And you've got to invest in your people, because if they really love what they do, love the environment, they feel like they're heard, seen, and taken care of and inspired, pun intended, they will stay and you'll have a massive impact like you've shown. So if people are interested in getting engaged with you all, how do they find you? How do they find the company? What's the next step?
Yeah, I mean, so finding me, you can email me directly at erichimes24@yourpathinspired.com. Our website is www.yourpathinspired.com. So come check us out. You can connect with us in a number of different ways. So that's getting that in touch with me directly. We have a number of team members here too. And so, any of us would be more than happy. We're a national business today. We have people all over the country. So, locally, if you want to meet with one of our team members, we could set that up as well.
Yeah, face to face, and with these kinds of conversations and the work that you do is probably really important as well. Because the digital stuff is great because we can do volume of conversations, but this sort of stuff, human to human, is really important in person. How about from a networking perspective? Where can people find you? LinkedIn, Alignable, wherever else? Okay,
Yeah, LinkedIn, Eric Himes, LinkedIn, or yeah, you'll find us there on that. We have a YouTube channel for our TV show,
awesome, cool,
The Inspired Culture, so you can find us there as
nice.
well.
And you got a book coming out. When's
Yeah,
the book coming out?
so in August, yeah, so we have a book coming out on the inspired culture. We're really excited about that. The heart behind it was we want to get this methodology out to everybody we can possibly get it out to. It will, from what our publisher says, and they published a number of books. They've highlighted that this will be a pretty good leadership book for people to learn and read and take back with them.
All right. So one last question that I typically ask from time to time, and I feel it's appropriate for this. In 15 seconds, describe how you inspire companies to do what they do better.
In 15, I'll do it in 3.
Oh,
We
there you
give
go.
them we give them eyes to see.
Give them eyes to see. Look at that. Just dropping the microphone and walking off the stage. Love that. Fantastic. Well, Eric, it's been a pleasure to get to know you, two, to have this professional relationship you and I are starting to build. think the work that you're doing is incredible because I think, people make the world go round, if you will. And if you're a business owner, whether you have one employee, 5,000 employees, you are struggling with a culture which you cannot create. It's generated through your people and conversations. Absolutely check out Eric and his team. But I do appreciate you stopping by the PR bunker and having this conversation.
Don, it's been a pleasure to be here with you today, too. You're a great host and grateful for the opportunity.
I appreciate you, my man. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the PR Bunker podcast, where we go beyond the headlines and into the trenches with founders, builders, and operators making real moves. This show is brought to you by the PR Bunker, a strategic communications agency helping mission-driven and impact-focused organizations cut through the noise and tell stories that matter. Want to learn more? Head to prbunker.com and subscribe to the Bunker Briefing, our monthly email newsletter packed with a 45-second read that's stacked with value. We're talking practical PR and communications insights, networking tips, and strategies to help you navigate the moments that matter. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. We've got more raw, real conversations on the way. So stay locked in. Until next time, keep building, stay resilient, and remember, momentum favors the bold.